Hi there. In this short episode, more analog inputs and outputs for your studio audio interface on a budget. The key phrase here is on a budget. If you own an audio interface with a bunch of input and output channels, chances are 8 or more of those channels are on ADAT connectors. There are a fair number of choices to run analog audio in and out of your audio interface through ADAT. You can spend thousands of dollars or as little as $229 for a Behringer ADA 8200. But I'm not calling $229 budget friendly. My recommendation is a MKII 2408. It has some limitations, so it's not going to work for everyone, but it's budget priced and it has good audio quality. The 2408 has 8-channel conversion from A to D or D to A. You don't need a PCI card or a connection to a computer to use in standalone mode. It will take 8 channels of analog audio and convert it to 8 channels of ADAT, or 8 channels of ADAT and convert it to 8 channels of analog audio. You can pick up a MKII 2408 Mark I for only $50. Now that's truly budget worthy. A Mark II will cost you around $60, and it's my choice for budget conscious musicians. A Mark III will cost you about $125. It's a big premium over the Mark II, but I have lots of info in this episode to help you make a choice. One downside of the MKIIs is that you can only convert in one direction at a time. For most people, that's not going to be a problem. They just want to get more channels into or out of their audio interface. If you need to convert in both directions simultaneously, consider buying 2 units. It's still cheaper than the other options. Be aware there are no XLR audio inputs and no trim controls, but that won't be a problem for some people. I've been using 2 Mark Is for about a decade to get additional inputs and outputs on my system that uses an RME UFX as the audio interface. Let's take a look at the specs. It was very hard to find reliable specs on these units. There was a lot of conflicting information out there, and I couldn't find all the manuals. For one of the units, the only manual I could find was in German, but luckily I'm fluent in Google Translate. I have high confidence that what you're seeing on the screen is accurate. There are 2 caveats. First, I was unable to find definitive signal-to-noise ratio on the Mark I. It's probably somewhere between 96 dB and 100 dB, and I put down 100 dB. Second, I could find no consistent information on total harmonic distortion for all the units, so I didn't list it. When these units came out about 2 decades ago, 24-bit was the buzzword everyone wanted to hear, at 44.1 or 48 kilohertz sample rates. Few people dug any deeper into the audio specs. However, from using these units, I know they produce good quality sound. Let's take a look at the Mark I. 20-bit A to D conversion and a 24-bit internal signal path with 44.1 and 48 kilohertz sample rates. That's great quality for my keyboards that go into the MKII, which are classic analog and lower bitrate digital synths. You get unbalanced analog I/O, perfect for keyboards and other line level signals, but not optimal for sources better suited to balanced levels, like microphones. The analog I/O is on RCA jacks. It's not ideal, but I make it work with some 8-channel snakes. Let's talk about the Mark II, and I'm sharing some pictures and other useful information for one I just purchased off of eBay. It's my 3rd 2408, and I will be replacing one of my other units on the input side. It has 24-bit A to D conversion at 44.1 and 48 kilohertz sample rates. Analog I/O is on 1/4-inch jacks at -10 dB or +4 dB, which is internally per channel switchable using 1 jumper per channel, so you can mix and match levels. This is the unit I would recommend for budget-conscious musicians. You get better audio quality specs than the Mark I. You don't need a computer to mix and match reference levels like the Mark III, and you get 1/4-inch analog I/O. List price on the Mark II when it came out was $995 for the interface and a PCI 324 card, or $695 just for the interface. It's a good quality interface. Now the Mark III. 24-bit A to D conversion at 44.1, 48, 88.2, and 96 kHz sample rates. Analog I/O at -10 dB or +4 dB, which is software selectable with a computer or front panel selectable with a few quirks. From the front panel, you can switch all analog input channels to be +4 dB or -10 dB or mixed. From what I could tell from the manual, the mixed settings means how the interface was set up when it was connected to a computer using the MKII audio console software. If you purchase one used, the mixed input settings are unlikely to be how you want them. You should be able to have a person with a core system connect your 2408 to their PC and set the inputs the way you want them. The interface would maintain these settings for as long as the internal battery lasts. That's if you know somebody. If you just need all inputs at +4 dB or all inputs at -10 dB, then this interface will work for you without the need for a computer setup, provided you don't mind paying the premium these units costs for 3 additional dB of dynamic range and some higher sample rates. Note, if you choose sample rates higher than 48 kHz, you'll halve the number of input and output channels at 88.1 and 96 kHz. A few other points of interest before I close. The MKII 2408s use standard IEC power cables. That's cool. There is no wall wart and no line lump to deal with. The Mark I and Mark II have 4-segment LEDs for metering each analog input channel. The Mark III has 5 segments per channel. The top segment is a red LED, the one below it is orange, and the others are green. It does make it easier to tell if you're overdriving the unit, so the meters have value. For comparison, a Behringer ADA 8200 has only 2 LEDs per channel, a green signal indicator and a red clipping LED, so the MKIIs are way better in that regard. More expensive units out there have additional features like trim controls and XLR connectors, but you're paying for that, and some folks don't need it. Ultimately, if you're looking for some budget A to D or D to A conversion, you can put a MKII 2408 to work. It will also convert SPDIF and TDIF if you need that. The internal battery was dead on the used Mark II I just purchased. Not a big deal. I had to change some of the internal jumpers to -10 dB inside the unit anyway. It's trivial to change the battery, which is a typical CR2032. I showed you in this episode the screws to remove. Just take your time. If you're going to use the unit in standalone mode, which is what I'm talking about here, consider testing the battery and replacing it prior to putting it into your rack. The physical jumpers inside the Mark II are easy to change. I showed you some pictures in this episode. When the 2 pins are unbridged, the input is at +4 dB. When bridged, the input is at -10 dB. Hopefully I haven't wasted your time. Take care, and I'll be back in another video soon. Here's the MKII 2408 Mark II that I just purchased off of eBay. Front panel looks in very good condition. Top panel, also very good condition. Bottom panel, a few scratches. Won't affect operation, of course. Back panel, looks in very good shape. Let's take a look at the front. Over here we have the headphone jack. It duplicates analog 1 and 2 out. Got a nice smooth volume knob there. Over here is what we're interested in for standalone conversion, and this is where we would set it up using these buttons right here. We have 4-segment LEDs, -40, -12, -3, -1. They really do help. Nice positive sounding on-off switch. On the rear panel, we have an IEC connector, no wall wart or line lump to deal with. We have word clock in and out, so we can sync with other digital gear. Analog I/O on 1/4-inch gold-plated connectors. SPDIF in and out, and a separate one to permanently connect to a DAT. That was a big deal back in the day, not so much now. Audio wire, which we will not be using because we won't be connecting this to a core system. At least I won't. Then we have 24 channels of ADAT in and out, called groups A, B, and C. Same thing for Tascam TDIF, A, B, and C, except it's on DB25 connectors. And last but not least, main out, left and right, 1/4 inch gold-plated connectors. And that is the Mo2 2408 Mark II. $55 plus shipping and tax.